All right, y'all, we're gonna start the video with this. If you're looking for something that's absolutely a blast to drive, this thing is fun to drive, okay? Go test drive one, put it in sport mode, you'll be sold. And let's get started on this video. In the video today, this is probably gonna be my first day, actual day with the RHO. Brought it home from the dealer yesterday. Went and took the kids to school, dropped them off this morning, and I did my proper break-in at the Starbucks drive-through. You know, if you got an off-road truck, you got to make sure you do that properly. But today we're just going to do a kind of a drive on this truck. I'm going to turn the camera around, let y'all see it kind of down the highway. Things I'm very impressed with is the cabin is super quiet in this truck. The interior is, I mean, like I said, just with the way this interior is, it's just the fit and the finish. I drove the competitor truck. You know, it just, to me, this is just a tighter fit. Everything's just a little bit cleaner, a little less plasticky, you know, and I've said that about my HDs also. I really believe in the Ram interior. They've really got it down, and they did some tweaks on this 25. We'll talk about those in the video today. Just some differences from like even the 24 to the 25 model. A little bigger screen, got the passenger side screen and a couple of those things. And some say that passenger side screen's a little gimmicky, you know, but when you're on a road trip and you need to enter something in nav, you know, it's nice when the wife can go in there and, you know, punch something in on the nav that we want to add a stop or something while we're rolling down the highway. So anyway, but let's go ahead. We're going to do a drive on this thing today, but I want to pop the hood and just kind of show you. Let's see here. Put that up. The other thing that's really cool about this is I know on the HD the hood scoop is not, you know, GM actually the hood scoop is functional on the HD diesel trucks, but if you look, you do have the hood scoop here, and it's pretty cool because this is actually a functional scoop. Okay, you can see it gathers there here, and then look at this massive air intake on this thing. For a stock truck, that's probably the largest I've seen ever. So anyway, like I said, just very impressed with it. We're gonna get in this thing, go for a drive here in a minute. You know, some of the things on the inside I'll show you. 25 upgrades. The window switches, which I talked about in my last video, you can see it's got a little chrome trim on them. They just made this a little bit nicer. You know, this here is really nice finish. But when you get in, of course, we've got the driving thing with the cruise. Now, I haven't figured out how to let my hands completely off the steering wheel. It asked me to put my hands on the steering wheel, but I just, literally, if you hold your hand on there, it drives itself. That's pretty cool. The other thing for 25 that I notice is different is you'll see a brake controller down here. It actually has the gain, plus and minus, where you had buttons before, is on the screen. And then this screen is a lot bigger. Y'all, it doesn't look that much bigger, but when you get in here and you see this one, you're like, it's significant. I mean, you can see how it stands up here, kind of comes out on the outside here, and they moved all the buttons to the side. There's no more on the top. And then the passenger side screen over there, of course, is a nice adder. But anyway, let's go ahead and get this camera turned around and let's get this thing fired up. Let's get some road time on it, just so you can kind of see the cab, the acceleration, stuff like that. All right, so let's get this thing started up. And we'll get pulled out on the highway here. Now I've only done probably like half throttle on it, just kind of doing a proper break-in on it, not really pushing it too hard, but we'll kind of get in on it a little bit just to kind of so y'all can see the acceleration. I mean, this truck is definitely no slouch. Very smooth, like I said, hardly any cab noise. See how quiet it is in here. And then, you know, on the cruise, like I said, go to that active driving assist, and let's say we set it. Let's get over here in the other lane. And you can see that little marker down there, like you see the hands on the wheel. And so if I let off the wheel, it's driving itself, but you can see in the heads-up display too, it has that same marker. See how it's yellow? It tells me to put my hand on the wheel. As soon as I just touch it, that goes away. So literally I can set this and just leave my hand rested here, and my eyes have to be looking forward. This watches your eyes too, that little camera in there, and it'll just kind of drive itself. You know, if you're on the highway, this is a pretty nice feature. The other thing I really like is on the 25, you can see you've got 2 wireless chargers down there. So they added that, which that's nice. And then the digital rearview mirror, I don't know why the competitor hasn't came out with that yet. GM and Ram have been doing that for a while. But, I mean, this thing for an off-road truck rides like a Cadillac, just drives really good. And even, let me slow down to 70 here for you. I'm kind of going up a hill. But just to kind of show you the acceleration on it from a 70. I mean, definitely not a slouch. But overall, like I said, really quiet. See, like it's doing this turn on its own, staying in its lane. Show y'all how seamless the start-stop is on this thing. And you can turn that feature off. You've got a button right here if you do want to turn it off. We're just going to pull over here. There's nobody in front of me or behind me. And just come to a complete stop. Nothing. I mean, you hardly can even tell that this thing shut off. I mean, it's just super quiet, no problem. And then when I lift my foot off the brake, it's instant, right? And then back on the road again. Okay, so let's get into the modes on this thing. So let's hit RHO right here. It's going to populate on the screen. Sport, tow, snow, and auto, which I've just got it in auto. And then you've got mud, sand, rock, and Baja, and you can do a custom. Okay, so for your transmission, street, it's going to be the smoothest shifting. Paddle shifters can be on or off. Stability control, street, that's going to be really soft. Suspension, street, that's going to be really soft. Steering is street, which is going to be a lightest weight steering, I guess, is going to be in street mode. Okay, but you can go in here to custom and you can rebuild any one of these that you want. So if I want more of a sport feel on the daily, you can switch the transmission. Let's see here, custom setup. Here we go. So let's say I want to go sport on the trans. I want my paddles on. Stability, I want street, want it to feel like, you know, it's best driving. Street, same here. And then steering, street also. So I would say that's kind of how I would do it. The only thing I'm doing is really firming up my transmission. You can run with that, okay? But just for the difference, what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click it over to sport. And you can see it turn traction control off in sport on its own. And it kind of shows some of the powertrain stuff. But let's go ahead and go back here. All right, y'all, we got this thing in sport mode. Oh man, that throttle is way more sensitive. The shifting is way better. This thing's like a rocket in sport. Big difference. I mean, I can tell you the ECM is even different, the tuning. It's pretty crazy. You know, I did drive the competitor's truck, and you know, this truck of course is the 540 horsepower, so you get about 90 more horsepower with this truck. You can definitely feel that 90 horsepower, and when you put it in sport mode, it's there. So if you go test drive one of these trucks, you need to put it in sport mode, 100%. It's significant. That's the first time I've actually shifted it to sport, and I'm pretty impressed. So the power on this thing just feels great. You know, the driving as an everyday driver is good. To have the capabilities and to have an everyday driver all in one vehicle is pretty impressive. Okay, so I just clicked to this screen and it explains the hands-free. So if it's an unsupported road, it's going to make you put your hand on the wheel, and it still pretty much does the driving for you. But that's when it's going to get on a supported road that you can literally be hands-free. So it's telling you right there, That's why I'm having to put my hand on the wheel. And you can see that icon, the heads-up display, maybe on the screen. I got the cruise set at 75. This is real world down the highway. You know, looking like 75 is going to be somewhere around 13 to 13 and a half, where 70 was a little bit over 14 to 14 and a half. So I think those are pretty fair numbers on what you're going to get miles per gallon. But let me turn this around and we'll talk about the difference between the V8, you know, and the 6-cylinder option, you know, for kind of both of these brands, and some pros and cons to which one you need to pick. Alright, so after driving some of these trucks, you know, I've had the V8 trucks with superchargers. They'll burn some fuel. You know, if you're sitting there doing some idling, it's going to sit there and drink that fuel. You know, the parasitic load on a supercharger, when not in use, burns more fuel than a set of turbos. That's just the way it comes out. Now, I hope Ram comes out with a 5.7. They bring it back and put twin turbos on it. That's going to be a beast if they do that. Hopefully, Tim Kuniskis does something with the 5.7 that's a really good platform. But, you know, when you look at this truck versus the competition, you have the decision, right? I guess you could go to a 24 and get you a TRX. There's still plenty of those on the lot. Those TRX is a really good truck, lots of power. My average was about 9 miles to the gallon in that truck, and that's not me running it hard. That's me running 75 down the highway, picking the kids up from school, coming back, and pretty much every other day topping the truck off on about a 60-70 mile run. And a lot of that's because, you know, when you get in the car lines at school, you have to sit there for 30 minutes and wait. And so that TRX would burn some fuel, right? That parasitic load and those superchargers just eat some fuel when you're idling. You know, turbos don't have that, you know, and I'll do a video on the difference between turbos and superchargers. I've got a lot of data on that. I've built lots of engines, and, you know, why turbochargers are a little more efficient, and you can make them do what you need them to do. But when you're looking at these trucks overall, you've got to make the decision. You know, I know you look at the, you know, the Ford has the Raptor R now that has the V8, and they did go with the little smaller displacement, and they're getting the ponies out of it. You know, it's a little over 7. It beats the 707 that the TRX is. But again, you know, are you driving that truck daily? Are you doing commuting in it, or is that a weekend fun truck to go play in? Because people say, well, you don't buy these trucks for fuel mileage, and no, you do not. But okay, but if you're doing 70 to 80 miles a day, and you're doing some sitting, you're doing some idling, you know, when fuel was expensive, I mean, you buy a tank a day or a tank of fuel every other day, that's pretty significant, you know. So it really does matter a little bit, as much as people say it doesn't matter. Now, driving both of these trucks, the Ford and this truck, the 6-cylinders are very capable. They run great, and you can watch tons of other YouTube videos. I've seen lots of people that are Raptor fans that have had them. The 6-cylinders do really good. There's plenty of power there, and you still get that decent, you know, 13 to 15 on the highway. And, you know, you're not going to get that. You know, if you want to look at the stickers, and the stickers say certain numbers, okay, but that's not 70, 75 miles an hour on the highway running it, okay? So, you know, for me to get the range I'm going to get out of this truck with this 6-cylinder and have the power that it has is impressive, and for the price point. And that's one of the things about this truck. If you want to compare it to the competitor brand, the price point on this truck for what you get, the fit and the finish on the interior, how this thing's built, is just, to me, is significantly better. I mean, it's a no-brainer when you compare the two trucks on which one I'm going to pick. Y'all know I'm a Ford guy. I love Ford, and there's nothing wrong with those, and I'm not bashing that at all. And, you know, the RHO is a new engine, so it's a new platform, so you're taking risk with that also, okay? But I just, even in the HDs, again, I've said it in my videos before, after, the interior on these things is just amazing. I love how the fit and finish is. It just feels more luxury, right? It's just less plasticky. They do a little bit more to the detail. Even my TRX, when I had it was the first year model that came out. Just the fit and the finish on that, I mean, was top of the market. And so, anyway, it's just kind of what you want, but don't kick the V6s out. They got to have the V8. I mean, if you want to pay to get the V8 and you're going to drive that, then, I mean, it definitely has, it's got some more get up and go. But do you really need it? You know, I guess that's the question you got to ask yourself. Is it worth that extra $20,000, $30,000 to step up to that and to get that? Okay. Now, the RHO does not offer that option anymore. Like I said, you have to go back to a 24 if you want a TRX, because they're not making those. It'll be interesting to see what the future holds on that. But this RHO is a very capable truck with a lot of luxury amenities, and I mean, it's just the noise canceling in the interior that these have, how quiet it is in here, and the capability. I'm beyond impressed. Now, I know I'm not taking it off-road, dirt track testing it, and guys, I only have this truck for a few weeks because my mega cab's going to come in, and y'all know I built HD diesels, but I wanted to get some content on one of these trucks, and I actually wanted to drive it. I mean, I've been looking at the dealer here's had one or two of these on the lot, and I've been looking at them, and I drive by them every day, like, man, that's a good looking truck. I want to try that truck. I really want to go drive it. And that's what, you know, drove me to purchase this one, just because, not just the content, but just to kind of see how I like this for the daily, okay? And I could daily drive this truck every day. The back seat, even compared to the mega cab, it's like when I want to hand my kids a drink, I really got to reach back there to hand them a drink. You know, I think these seats are even further back than the mega cab. Now, you don't have the storage behind the seats that you have with the mega cab, but I mean, the interior room of this thing is just crazy. You know, the digital rearview mirror is another thing for me. You know, I always black out my windows on the back, and so I really like having the digital rearview mirrors. The one negative thing about when you put limo tint on your back window, and that's every one of these trucks, is they have the sensor in them to dim your outside mirrors, and that was even on my 24 Limited. So you miss that feature. So when you black out your windshield with tint on the back, not black it, but I do limo over factory, and so the headlights behind you can't reach the sensor on the mirror, which dims your side mirror. So you do kind of lose that feature when you do that, but anyway, it's not a major deal. I am in sport mode right now, and I notice it's holding like 2,300 RPM, and I'm running like 57 miles an hour. So sport mode is holding those gears up higher. You're probably not going to get the mileage that you would get in normal mode, but the throttle response and the power in sport, I think this truck's going to end up staying in sport. That cost me a little bit of fuel, you know, so be it. Sitting here running 55 miles an hour, you know, my miles per gallon showing about 19 miles per gallon at 55. So I mean, this thing's going to do really good. You're going to get the range. It's going to check most of the boxes. You know, if you're looking for a truck like this, I definitely recommend it. I'm just happy with it. So looking forward, I'm going to shoot as much content on it as I can and bring out more stuff. We're going to get under it. We're going to look at the underside and do some other videos. But if the video helped you make a decision, please hit that like, please subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next video.